down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
What's going on, Savvy investors? This is your friend in the airwaves, Steve Van Kallenberg, the Savvy Landlord. You just stepped in, tuned in, recognized the SavvyRadioshow.com, and I'm here to break it off. Yes, it is Friday. Do I have a deal? Yeah, but it's not worthy to be on the radio. But I did get a good question, so I'd rather pursue that question. And the question was, what's the question that you should be asking your custodial or your self-directed IRA company? So let's just be clear on the jump street. What is a self-directed IRA? It's a retirement account that has the same tax benefits as a normal IRA, but you are in control, flexibility in deciding on what you want your IRA to be invested in. I'll break off custodial here in a second, but what can you invest in your self-directed IRA? Now, obviously, you tuned into the Savvy Radio Show. If you didn't know, I'm about real estate. So that's the first one. Real estate, commercial, income generating property, rental property that you can invest in through your self-directed IRA. You can also invest in promissory notes secured by mortgage, also known as private lending, tax lien certificates, limited partnerships. Yes, you can invest in a limited partnership, an LLC, a sub-S corporation, and other real estate options, even precious metals, gold, silver. And so when you think of an IRA, self-directed IRA, you're giving it to someone to, say, manage, or a manager, or you're buying a mutual fund, hopefully and praying that it's going to go up in value and you're going to retire and everything's going to be great. Yeah, we wish that was the case. So what's going on now is that a lot of people are done with the lowest returns that they've ever received in the stock market, and they're turning to real estate as a strong investment vehicle. Obviously, I knew about that since 1999. I've been buying property. Now everybody's on the team, but that's all good. But what you do need to know is that now you're not worrying about GE stock or a blue chip stock or an engine, oil stock. You can have stock in yourself. You can actually buy a tangible asset, and that puts money in your pocket in your IRA, and you get the same tax advantages when you pull it out. So what is a custodial? Well, a custodial is like the go-between your money. There are some restrictions to your money. You can't just willy-nilly your money. What do you mean willy-nilly? Like you can't just, you have $50,000 in your IRA and you decide to buy a car. Well, there's restrictions. If you take the money out, you get penalized. Welcome to the United States government, right? It's your money, but you get penalized if you take it out. Now, if you put it in, it should be tax deferred if you have a Roth IRA. Now, let me break this down to you. I am not a financial planner. I'm just a hustler. I'm just a person that was uneducated. I'm getting educated right now, and hopefully you're getting educated by figuring this out. And that's what you should look into is self-directed IRA. Now, a lot of people didn't even know. I met a homeboy that didn't even know that this existed. So, and I may have covered this in the past, but I want to break it down. And then you may are ready for a self-directed IRA, or roll your company IRA or some old ones over into a self-directed IRA. And this episode is about what to know, what's the questions you should ask, and you should feel comfortable. And so the custodial is the person that kind of holds the money for you. It has to be a third-party company that they have to file all the regulation. They have to abide by these specific rules that are laid out by the government, what investment vehicles, what paperwork you need. So you have to have a custodial. So custodials are popping up all over the place. It's kind of like the Wild West out there as a custodial, and that hopefully this episode will clue you in on the questions that you need to know, and you need to do your homework. Okay. Now, I get a lot of text messages or Facebook inquiries about who do I use? Well, let me just wrap off a few. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just These are just names that I've heard about. I interviewed a gentleman named Mike from IRA Innovations. I have a really good friend of mine, Bob, in Ohio, uses Quest IRA. Probably the majority of real estate investors uses Equity Trust. And me personally, I use SunWest Trust in Albuquerque. Now, they all are great, and they may serve a specific benefit for you. These questions will apply. And there's many reasons why I chose SunWest Trust over other companies, but this is not the debate, and so you have to figure that out yourself. So what questions should you ask? Well, I'm driven by cash flow, okay, and I'm driven by the bottom line, and I don't like to waste money. So your first question out the gate is, what are your fees, Mr. Custodial Company? And here's the crazy thing. Again, this is not a regulated situation on this custodial. Fees can range wildly. Some charge an annual base fee, and that's what I like, and some do a percentage. And then some have a large setup fee as well. Now, you can nickel dime yourself to death, but the companies that I just told you about, some of them are the most expensive, some of them are the least expensive. You just have to know what you're dealing with before you get started. They do a lot of these new custodial companies have great websites, great marketing, and they're going to change the world with IRAs. You just need to do your homework and feel comfortable with that company. What I did, how I chose mine, was I took a poll with several investors that I trust and believe in. One of the guys that mentors me, and it was just real simple. He's like, there's just no annual fee. There's just no percentages. It's easy. And I've had great success with the company that I choose. Okay, that's question number one. What's their fees? Number two, what's the process of approving an investment? Now, are you getting a representative, or is it just anyone that happens when you call there? And how long does it take to get funded? Now, I can only give you my personal experience. On an average, okay, it takes about 3 days for me, the whole process. I set an email, I fill out a request, I have to have these specific documents, I turn them in, they kind of have a checks and balance, and then they wire the money to the asset that I'm trying to buy or the money I'm trying to lend to somebody else. Some people take forever, okay? And then there is some, I don't want to dog any other companies out there, but there was a time where I actually popped the deal from a realtor who is an investor, who uses private money, who lost the deal because you have to close on a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac or HUD repo, REO, at this specific time. And this the equity company, custodial company, did not get the paperwork in, and so on. And there you go. And so I benefited from that company. There's tons of them out there. One of the things that you may want to consider, and I have not done this yet, there's some self-directed IRA custodial companies doing checkbook control. It's called a checkbook IRA. And I don't know much about it, but again, if the government is completely regulating or trying to regulate this situation, and you want to be above board, because the penalty is if you do something wrong, then don't be fearful that you shouldn't get into using self-directed IRAs. You should. They're powerful. You can loan people money for backed by real estate. It's a successful business model that's working, but you have to follow these guidelines, these regulations. But the penalty is sometimes you can lose your whole IRA. So you got to be aware of what's going on and what's the custodial company and what's their policies and procedures in handling investments. So I know that was weird, but checkbook IRA is real popular. There hasn't been any kind of case log. I haven't heard any kind of drama about it. It just seems crazy that I can just have that in control, but you really have to document. If you're anally detailed, which I'm not, you might want to consider that. And so you might want to ask that for the IRA. Do you guys do checkbook IRA? Number 3, is there any restrictions on what I can invest in? I want to invest in real estate and make private money loans. Now, there's some random old school self-directed IRAs that started out that don't do that. let's say Schwab or one of the big names, they may say that they're self-directed IRA custodial company, but they don't allow real estate. And I understand why. I mean, it sounds kind of weird, but they're not exposed to it. That's not their business model. And so they may do self-directed IRAs just for precious metals. So it's just a simple question just to ask, are you guys real estate friendly? Do you understand the process? Can you help me with the documents? I'm going to file a lien on the asset. Now, they probably will not do that. That will be your title company on where you're wiring the money to. Number 4, is my retirement account eligible for a rollover into a self-directed IRA? Now, some big corporations do not allow that. Not all retirement accounts can be rolled over into a self-directed IRA, but most IRAs can, and even 401 can be too. You have to ask the representative at your company where your 401k is now. And if you've left that company, then you just got to file some proper paperwork. That custodial that you're considering, they may help you out with those documents or who to contact the human resources department for that past company that you worked for. Now, number 5, how long will it take for my account to be set up, running, and funds available for investment? Great question. Some people wait too long to get the process rolling. It's relatively pretty simple. You contact, this is just from memory, I did this a couple years ago. There's some paperwork you got to fill out. You get it in there. It took about a couple weeks, no more than 30 days for the company that I used to get started. Then you want to know the procedure from there. So in the beginning, you might be filling out maybe 10 or 15 pieces of paper. It's pretty simple. SunWest Trust has videos on their website that explain the process. And if you're going to use someone else or Quest or Equity Trust, I don't know if they have videos, but you can definitely go to SunWest Trust, watch their videos, and then move on from there. Just some key things on the companies that I did mention. I like the IRA Innovations. The reason why I like them, I don't use them. I used someone else before. That guy is extremely knowledgeable and passionate about real estate who runs the Nashville office. Quest IRA is, with the word on the street, is one of the first pioneers that actually got this approved through the government. Self-directed IRAs was like kind of like the hedgehog for us little real estate investors down here in the trenches. So they're really good. They have done all the creative things that you can imagine, and they continue to lobby. They continue to advocate for self-directed IRAs, and that's Quest. Okay, and now I know with Quest there is a percentage. Equity Trust is a lot of people use them to the 10th degree. They're everywhere, and they're pretty reliable. They may be sluggish at times. That may be the one for you. Seems like everyone that I talk to, or at least the old veterans, use Equity Trust. A lot of people haven't heard of SunWest Trust. A couple of my friends have, and it was good enough for me. The website is not robust, but the customer service is bomb. And that's another question that you need to ask. Number 6, who am I talking to? Do I have a representative? And this actually just happened to me with this company, SunWest Trust. I was loaning some money to a real estate investor out of state, and it's never easy. It's never easy at all. It's not difficult, but you got to file the paperwork. They won't reject it. It's your money, but you got to go through the process, and you got to kind of time it. And, I've loaned money before real quickly. My average is about 3 days to do a transaction. And this one dragged on for about a week because the representative that I have maybe wasn't in the office. I didn't really get into the details, but the normal gal that I have been working with for over a year, was out of pocket. And so someone jumped in behind her, and it was just a little bit slower. It wasn't a negative experience. The customer service was bomb, but that's another thing. What's their customer service like? If I'm 43 years old now, and so when I'm not playing around with people, and I actually would be like, check out their customer service. Like, go on their website, see if you see typos. Go on their website and see if they respond and how quick do they respond to your question. And then, do your due diligence. You don't want to be that guy, well, they blank me. Well, because you didn't do what you were doing. Okay. Now, most of the time when friends of mine that I have invested in them, they tell me to go buy this watch, I normally don't fool around. I just go buy the watch. Now, I may Google it up, maybe it's on sale somewhere, but other than that, I usually trust the reference that's coming from. But when you're dealing with your IRA and regulation, make sure that company is compliant, make sure that company is responsive, and find out if anyone that you know of uses them. Anyway, hopefully this was helpful information. Hopefully you start using that money that you're just sitting in an account going nowhere, and you're going to start investing it into something that's tangible, that you have somewhat control of, aka real estate that's backed by insurance, and you have a deed and mortgage on it. My name is Stephen Van Kallenberg. You tuned in. You've listened this far to the Savvy Radio Show. I'm excited that you're part of my team. If there's a question that you want answered, man, I'd love to. Always looking for the next thing to cover. Anyway, that's it. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at SavvyRadioShow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.